Hello, I'm Chief Straz of the Brunswick Hills Township Fire Department. On this episode of Fire Alarm, we'll be reviewing our technical rescue capabilities, including rope rescue, water rescue, fire investigation unit, and our peer support team. This is Fire Alarm.
Hi, I'm Chuck. Welcome to Chippewa Lake and Medina County EMA offices and All Hazards Station. Come on in, I'll show you around. First of all, we're called the All Hazards Team. But the All Hazards Team is made up of a multitude of disciplines. Fire investigation unit, hazmat, water rescue, trench rescue, structural collapse, and rope and confined space. So it's All Hazards Team, but then individual disciplines that function under that team umbrella. Our most active team is our fire investigation unit. They go out and investigate 4 other fire departments throughout the county fires. So whenever a chief has a fire that they want to determine the origin, they can have the fire investigation unit paged out. The all hazards team right now is 70 plus members, and we're made up of police, fire, and EMS from throughout the county. Some members serve a multitude of disciplines. You know, we have folks that may be on the water team, but are also on the hazmat, structural collapse teams. When those members respond or come to training, they remain on the payroll of their local department. So those local departments sponsor them, cover them under workers' compensation or their protection plans and insurance plans, but then also pay their payroll and salary while they're functioning with all hazards. We have a lot of members that are very dedicated, that are always there when you need them and when the call's given. But we also have to understand that, you know, for every hour of response, there's multiple hours of training on the backside of that to make sure they have the skill sets that we need to respond safely and effectively. And that's a big ask. You know, a lot of people, their time has become very precious for them. You know, their skill sets are not only well utilized here, they're well utilized at their department, some working on a multitude of departments. And at the end of the day, as we talked earlier, family has to come first. So we're sensitive of that we also want them to have a good work-life balance. The all hazards team, we're looking for a specific skill set for most teams. And what we really count on is knowledge, skills, and ability. Folks that go beyond their normal day-to-day position, whether it's police, fire, EMS, we're looking for that next level of knowledge, skills, and ability. And that's what's important to us, that folks come onto the team and have that or want to develop that. All right, let's go take a look at some of the equipment. So this is the structural collapse trailer. The team's most frequent call, which a lot of folks don't think about, is vehicles into houses. The most recent call was in the city of Medina, and an individual that drove into the fire museum. And the team was asked to come out and shore that building up so it was safe to remove the vehicle from there, but then the owner to re-enter to salvage some materials. The one corner of the building was in jeopardy of collapsing. Also be used if there's, for example, storm damage and a tree comes into a house and somebody's entrapped. This would be the team that would be called out to work through that situation, try to rescue that victim from that. So this is a search cam. The team actually has several of these. It's used should there be a large structural collapse. And I think the one most everybody is most knowledgeable of is after 9/11, when the towers collapsed. There's a great need to be able to reach in through that debris into voids and see if somebody's entrapped in there. So this is the hazmat team trailer. Hazmat team actually has 2 trucks and 2 trailers. What we normally think of when you think of a hazmat team is folks fully encapsulated, entering in some type of hazardous area. in the hot zone, as we call it. But there's far more to it than that, and a lot of that goes on in the background where you have experts that are hazmat technicians that really are researching the materials, trying to determine what the material is, then how to contain it, how to mitigate it. And it takes a lot of experience to do that, especially not only with materials, but also the containment structure that they're in, whether that's a rail car, a tanker truck, a tote, bucket in a basement, and also the materials that they'll react to. We can't always, rinse something with water, but then also understanding, when this stuff, does it vaporize? Does it melt? Does it liquefy? Does it form a gas? And then, how is that going to react in the environment? Is it going to drift and be a concern for houses in the radius, within so many miles? So hazmat team is probably the second busiest team within all hazards. We actually are heavily involved in monitoring the team members' health. We know that we protect and encapsulate these members to the best of our ability in current technology, but we also want to make sure that we monitor their health. So if there is an exposure to something, we catch that early so that we don't have long-term lasting effects on them. We work with the Cleveland Clinic in Medina. They go through a biennial hazmat physical. That's best practices. We follow those. And again, that's for the well-being of the team members.
Hi, my name is Wally Supchik. I'm a part-time firefighter here at Brunswick Hills. I'm also a paramedic. I'll be here 5 years in October. I got hired during the scare of COVID. I'm also full-time at Brunswick City. I've been here since 1994. I've actually been in the county since 1989 as a firefighter through two other departments. I'm also a member of the All Hazards team for Medina County. I'm on the rope rescue team. I'm on the trench rescue team. I'm also the team leader for the trench rescue team. I'm on hazmat. I am the northern hazmat officer for Medina County for hazmat. I'm on structural collapse team for Medina County, and I'm also the assistant team leader for that, and also confined space. I just love to work. I like getting on the squad, doing what I got to do as a paramedic, and as a firefighter. I'm kind of getting a little old to be the firefighting part, but we still do it age-wise. But I just love the job. I was doing this part-time when I was still doing road construction, and got the opportunity at Brunswick City to go full-time, and it's progressed from there. Well, Brunswick Hills, they've been really good to me here. All the guys that are here working, that I work with, been great guys to work with. Even the Brunswick City guys, all the guys I've worked with, plus those that have retired. It's just been a great group of guys to work with. We all work together. It's big old teamwork. We just have fun working together.
This is the water rescue trailer. So first we have to have an understanding of the environment that we're responding to and make sure that we have the appropriate equipment and techniques mastered. So this trailer houses many of our tools in our toolbox. First of all, boats and motors, that's a given when you're in flood or swift water, but also houses equipment like our side scan sonar. If we're looking at a submersion incident, we utilize side scan sonar a lot to find perhaps a victim of a drowning. And so that equipment is stored and housed in this trailer, along with the ancillary equipment that they have to use to run those techniques effectively. Additionally, outside of this, our ROV and our dive gear is housed in a separate truck. So this is an example of some of the dive gear we're using. We have 12 to 14 divers that are certified as public safety divers. We dive on a full face mask. That full face mask connects to a communication system so that while they're diving, they are in constant contact not only by a search line that is used to help control them, but also verbally to a dive tender. And this is what's called a remote operated vehicle. It actually is a submersible. It has lights on it, a camera on it, it has forward sonar on it. So if we use our side scan sonar and we find the victim of a drowning, we'll mark that area, and then rather than put a diver right in the water, we will drop the ROV on it to see if that is truly our victim. That helps keep our divers safe. Additionally, for ice rescue, we can drop the ROV in the water right at the opening in the ice, let it do a 360 pivot with its forward sonar, find the victim, and in that first hour there's a good chances of resuscitation and survivability if we can get to them quickly, get them back to the surface and hand it off to EMS. So this is a trench rescue trailer. Exactly as the name says, designed if a trench were to collapse on somebody, they would have the capability, knowledge, skills, and ability, and the right equipment to effect the rescue to get that victim out of that situation. A lot of material there to shore up, to support the walls of a trench, and then to excavate them out of it. Fortunately, Medina County has not experienced a trench rescue in a number of years. But again, if you follow the national news, you'll see that nationwide, it's a pretty common event. This is the rope and confined space trailer. This team literally trains and lives in the vertical realm, a lot of times at height, but also in confined spaces where somebody, especially in an industrial setting, may end up in a confined space, not able to come back out. And many times those confined spaces also are bad air. They do not have good air quality, restricted oxygen levels, so they not only have to be able to enter that confined space, they have to do it safely and a lot of times on breathing air to go in and rescue that victim. The last training, big exercise training they did, kind of a unique situation, was with Medina County Sewer District. They actually in Liverpool Township went down and worked with those workers that work in those sewage tanks down there, their settling tanks. They have a protocol and procedure should they have a worker go down in what can at times be a bad atmosphere. The team went down and shared some training and techniques with them, understanding that this team would be the first one called if that was in reality an actual situation. Administratively, all hazards team is under the EMA umbrella, and EMA is guided by the EMA Executive Committee. And then the EMA director is Ben Now. The All Hazards team under that umbrella also has what's called the All Hazards Advisory Committee. It's made up of a police chief that's appointed by the Medina County Police Chiefs Association, and then fire chiefs that are appointed to that position by the Medina County Fire Chiefs Association. They provide what I say is that guidance on administratively, procedurally, and budget, how we perform the operations that we are interested in or work through. So they are actually our mentoring group, is a good way to put it, that provide that oversight to all hazards. So EMA Executive, EMA, and then the All Hazards Advisory Committee administratively is how we function. Each team then has a team lead and an assistant team lead that day-to-day operational and responsible for that team.
Hi everyone, Fire Inspector Tom again over at Brunswick Hills. Today we're talking about carbon monoxide as a safety tip. If you have flame fire devices in your home, such as a stovetop, an oven, furnace, hot water tank, those things can contribute to carbon dioxide buildup if they're incomplete combustion. However, we can't make our devices create carbon monoxide unless there's incomplete combustion. So dirty stovetop can actually add to that. So it's important to keep your stovetop real clean. But the biggest thing that can save your life, save your family's life, is having a carbon monoxide detector in your home. It's colorless, it's odorless. It actually causes us to get a little drowsy and sleepy. So while we're sleeping, add that extra protection. And a matter of fact, during the holidays or a birthday, that's a perfect gift to give your family members. Take care out there.
I'll start on behalf of the Fire Investigation Unit. As you know, we're going to end the summer months here pretty shortly. As we go into the winter months, just being diligent, as any fire chief would tell you in any community, that you're not running heaters off extension cords, that you don't have them buried under carpet or curtain, that you do have smoke detectors in place. But also with wood burners and those types, we see a lot. The Fire Investigation Unit goes out. Their pace gets heavier in the winter because we start to use those alternative heating sources. The other thing that's new and an interesting pattern is lithium battery charging. Making sure that you use good quality lithium batteries, that you're not buying aftermarket that are untested, but also making sure you're diligent in, once they're charged, getting those unplugged, getting them off the chargers, setting timers on them. We've seen a number of lithium battery responses that have caused pretty significant fires. So I think on behalf of Fire Investigation Unit, that would be the plan. On behalf of the hazmat team, household hazardous waste is a concern. Medina County is blessed in the fact that we do have a hazardous waste recycling facility here in the county, and I would encourage residents to make good use of that. Also be careful what products you're using. Make sure you understand what they are, the public safety hazards that are come with the use of that product, but then also making sure you dispose of the unused products safely and correctly. And again, our county commissioners and our county waste recycling committee has made sure that we have a system in place, and we need to make sure residents utilize that. From an industry standard, we have a lot of compounds in the county, regardless of what manufacturing or what system uses them. Those folks understand the regulatory process, understand safe storage and disposal of those. So I think it would be beneficial if we also said to the residents of Medina County, make sure you understand what you're purchasing, how to use it properly, and then how to dispose of any residual you have in a safe manner. For the water team, I think as always, swim with a buddy in a designated area. Wear a life jacket if you're going to go out on a boat, understand the state boating laws in Ohio, and then just be safe around the water. Make sure that you have rescue equipment in place, and then follow the rule that we always teach people is reach, throw, and go for help. If somebody's in trouble in the water, reach something long, throw something to them that floats, but don't go in yourself, go for help and call 911. And then the last one for the water team as we get into winter months is also ice safety, remembering that no ice is safe ice. Regardless of how cold it is or how long it's been cold, just understanding that no ice is safe ice, and we need to stay off of it. The rope confined space team, to be honest with you, they have done a number of animal rescues in the last year, which I think some people would find surprising. You have a rope and confined space team that's been being called out to animal rescues. And the team has become pretty efficient at that. And in fact, we're seeking additional training on how to help, in particular, horse owners. That we had a horse in the Hinckley area that stumbled and ended up down in a creek bed. And a rope team, based on their knowledge, skills, and ability, were able to provide a means to get that horse up out of that ravine safely without injuring it. On behalf of the trench team, we've been blessed that we've not had many trench incidents in Medina County lately, but you only have to watch the national news for a little bit to see that, especially in industrial settings where they're doing trench excavation, just reminding folks, to make sure they understand the requirements for stepping a trench back or to use a trench box when they're working. Those are critically important. And, that's one that seems pretty benign to a lot of people. They're digging a ditch, digging a trench, but then we see somebody entrapped in a collapse of that trench. So just making sure they're aware of the standards and use those properly.
Yeah, I'm James Justice, owner of Architectural Justice and soon to be Architectural Vines. My experience with Brunswick Hills Fire Department has been very good. I feel like they are very pro-business, and anytime we've had any interaction with them, with fire prevention, it's just been very positive. And with Architectural Vines, and anytime we have a project, we can sit down with them and just lay everything out on the table, and you can just tell that they're very pro-business and they want businesses to succeed, and that's the most important aspect, I feel like. And every time we have a fire walkthrough, it's a good experience. They give us suggestions on what we should do to be safer. And we're getting ready to put up a new factory on the southern property, a 20,000 square foot factory. And again, sat down with Anthony, a little pre-planning, and he told me exactly what he needs. And it's just very comforting knowing that we could sit down anytime and go over anything. And as a business in Brunswick Hills, I would tell any business owner, call him directly. He'll do a walkthrough with you and go through anything as far as fire prevention or planning for new business. He's all about it. Like here at Architectural Vines, this was agritourism, so there was a lot of things with permitting, no permitting, and just sitting and talking with Anthony, he just is very, again, pro-business, and it's like, what can we do to help? You know, he brought the fire trucks in here, worked with me on what radiuses the roads should be, and I can pick up a phone and call him anytime, and just awesome. I would not, you know, we're very lucky to have the fire officials that we have here at Brunswick Hills.
Thank you for watching this episode of Fire Alarm. In our next episode, we'll be looking at what the future of the fire department holds. It will also be our final episode of this series.
Thank you for watching Fire Alarm. The next episode will be available in 2 weeks.